Hey guys, what's going on? This is Andrew here today, and we are finally at the last test video for my PC out of all the ones that we've done for the past few days. When I bought this computer, it definitely wasn't aimed at 4K then, so there's no question that it's not aimed at 4K now. The GTX 970 was advertised as the best value 1080p card, and based on the last two videos, it was shown to still be able to keep up the pace. But with that being said, can we play 4K, and is it even worth playing at the resolution, even if we can play at it? Let's find out. One thing to note is that I will be recording this with my Elgato Game Capture HD, so you guys will only be able to view this video at 1080p 30 FPS, but I assure you the game plays in 4K. One more thing to add is that the target frame rate that we're going to be going for is 30 FPS opposed to 60, just because, well, I think you guys already know the reason.
Alright, so just like in the previous videos, we're going to be looking at GTA 5 first, and I think this one ran pretty well, actually better than I expected. When this game came out on PC, most people were playing it at 1080p, most people were not playing this at anything like 1440p and 4K unless they had higher end graphics cards like a 980 SLI or a 980 Ti. So the fact that this is running this well impresses me. I'm doing this in the high settings with FXAA and MSAA off, and I'm achieving about 30 FPS. Okay, so this is a bit of an older title, but I figured we put it in here since it looks pretty nice, and it came out around the time of the graphics card. This is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and this is specifically the Exo Zombies mode. We turned the game all the way up to max settings 4K and achieved about 45 FPS on average, which I think is pretty stellar considering the fact that this game came out around the same time as my graphics card. So to be able to see this running at 4K on a card that was meant to do 1080p, I'd say that's pretty good, and I still think this game looks great to this day. This game right here surprised the hell out of me for how well it ran. I don't know if there is a weird glitch with the resolution and all that other stuff, but this game ran at 4K, and it ran at 4K almost identically to how it ran at 1080p when I tested it last. So I don't know if there's like a little bit of a glitch going on, but I just don't know how this ran as good as it did. This is Jedi Fallen Order. I ran it at high settings, and I got an average of 62 FPS. A game like this that is as new as it is, running at 62 FPS, is just insane, and I'm almost feeling like I'm being tricked a little bit here, the fact that it's running this well. But as far as I see, it's running at 62 FPS, so I'm just going to have to go with it. Taking a look at Rise of the Tomb Raider, this one also surprised me a little bit, because when I turned the settings all the way up to 1080p max, we got a good frame rate, and when I got this running at 60 FPS, we didn't have to lower the settings that much either. But as soon as you turned on 4K, it seemed to just have completely tanked the FPS. So I am running this game right now at 4K at the low settings, not the minimum, just at the low settings, and we were getting about an average of 35 FPS. I'd say that is pretty good because consoles like the PS4 Pro weren't even able to play this game natively, so I'd say this is some pretty good results right here. Up next is Fallout 4, and I have to say this one ran pretty well, all things considered. I put the settings up to high, and we got an average of 35 FPS. Very great for a game like this, for how demanding it is, and I'm surprised that the 970 was able to hold up and play it like this. So let's get to the next game. There's really not much more to say about this. I love this game the day it came out. I still love it to this day. Doom 2016 is the game we're looking at right now, and we are playing this at ultra settings and getting 34 FPS. I am very impressed with how this runs. However, I don't recommend playing it at this resolution at all, and especially not at these settings, because in a game like this, you definitely want to have a higher frame rate, and considering you are already at 4K, you might as well turn the resolution down, or at least turn down the resolution scaling so you can get a better frame rate. After I did this test, I beat the rest of the game with this low-ass frame rate because I got hooked, so that just shows how much I love this game. Alright, so unfortunately, from this point on, games became a lot less playable. Right now we are looking at Battlefield 5, and we had to turn the settings all the way down to the minimum, and at that point we only managed about 28 FPS. Just like with Doom, this is a first-person shooter, and you definitely don't want to be playing an FPS game with this low of a frame rate. Like I said before, turn down the resolution. It's not worth it playing like this. Next game we have here is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and just like Battlefield 5, this one was a mess. We had to turn the settings all the way down to the absolute minimum, and even doing that, we still maintained only around 27 FPS on average. So this game did not run very well at 4K, but what did you really expect out of a card that was meant to be a 1080p card in 2014? I'm still pretty impressed that it was able to run this well in general, but there's no doubt about it that you would want to turn the resolution down on a card like this. Hey look, we're playing Doom again, although this time we're doing Doom Eternal, and this one was a lot worse than the last. We had to turn the settings all the way down to the minimum settings, and we only maintained about 25 FPS on average, where it is technically playable at this. I'd basically say that you're cheating if you were doing it this way, because the game slows itself down when you get to an FPS like this. And like I said before, it is playable. I did beat the boss fight in this level after I was done testing at this low frame rate, but man, you really do not want to play this game at 4K on a GTX 970 at all. Taking a look at the medium, this one was definitely playable at 4K, but definitely not worth it. We had to turn it all the way down to the minimum settings, and we only achieved about 29 FPS. Turning this game all the way down to the minimum made the game look absolutely awful. It really only ran in the 20s, and playing it at this resolution does not do the game justice at all, doesn't do your computer justice at all. Definitely turn down the resolution. Like I've been saying for the past few of the tests, definitely not worth it playing in 4K right here. The last game we're going to be looking at is Control, and this game ran the worst out of all the ones that we've tested on this list. So we had to turn the settings all the way down to the absolute minimum to play in 4K, and we only got about 21 FPS on average, so not really playable at all. And I mean, I guess you can say you can play it, but why? I mean, you have the option to go down the resolution, take it, not worth playing it at this resolution.
We are finally at my final verdict, and it's clear that the PC can play at 4K, but what's the point in taking the option? The GTX 970 just isn't able to do it well anymore, and that's because it never really was meant to do it well. Only 2 years after getting the PC, I upgraded to the GTX 1070 on day one, and I'd say a card like that definitely holds up much better with the increased VRAM and just about double the performance. The reason I got it was just to play at higher resolutions. However, am I disappointed? Not at all. This PC was never meant to reach that resolution, and the fact that it got this close to being playable a whole generation later just goes to show that my $1,200 was well spent. If I wasn't so obsessed with the idea of 4K in high school, I probably would have never upgraded this computer, even today. Except maybe for the RAM. I upgraded to 32 gigs of RAM just for bragging rights. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching my series of videos talking about this computer. I am very happy with it, and I think it could possibly last me until next generation as long as I keep my resolution at 1080p and ray tracing off. However, this computer isn't going to be my main computer for much longer because I got accepted into Full Sail University in the game development program, and they're going to be giving me a laptop that's going to probably destroy this computer in comparison. So that means I will always have this computer nearby. It just won't be my main one. So when it comes time to start testing it, it'll probably be when the next generation comes about. So the sequels to this video are probably in the far future. Those include me overclocking the build and, like I just said before, testing it when the next generation consoles come around in who knows how many years. So, like I said before, thank you for watching everything. I had a lot of fun doing these videos, and I hope to do more tech kind of videos like this in the future, but I will also be doing retro gaming as this channel, is supposed to be. But like I said before, I am very thankful for you guys being here. Thank you all for watching.